is the heart of Africa. Africa is the heart of life. What happens in Africa impacts all of us. We all come from Africa. If we destroy the heart, we stop blood flowing throughout the continent. If that continent gets destroyed, our world is not going to be here anymore. Women are the heart of the heart. So we need to support them and nurture them and cherish them and protect them so that life can go on.
I knew there was violence, and I knew there were serious problems with armed groups running rampant over the countryside in eastern Congo, but I had no idea that women were being singled out the way they have been, and that the numbers were so big.
Well, the UN's been involved in the Congo for a long time, but I think we've become increasingly aware that one of the biggest problems in the Congo, particularly the eastern Congo, is this problem of brutal sexual violence against women.
Sometimes we start talking about the Congolese and we demonize them. There's a history of racism, of degradation, of genocide that runs through the body of the Congo.
It's not just about rape when we're talking about the eastern Congo. It's about the brutality which goes with it, the destruction and the physical violence which goes with it in a way which is hard to imagine.
And I have to tell you, in all my years, I have been to some pretty terrible places. I essentially live in the rape mines of the world. I have never, and I hate to compare atrocities because it is not a good business, but I have never heard the kind of atrocities that are going on towards women in the Congo.
And it's been like this almost since independence in 1960, where there really is no functioning government. There's no functioning police, no functioning army, no functioning education system. The country is a bunch of disconnected pieces with no roads that bring them together. And one result of this is the violence that goes on and on and on, and nobody does anything about it.
The women, the victims of sexual violence in Congo and Moyo, decided not to suffer in silence and took the very extraordinary act of actually denouncing the soldiers with the local public prosecutor and to demand the prosecutor to press charges against the people that had destroyed their life and their future.
What all of you can do tonight is huge. Just the fact that you're here is huge. Just the fact that you walked into the door and cared enough to listen to what's going on to the women of the DRC. We need advocates. We need world attention. We need to put pressure on businesses who benefit from the resources of the Congo. $1 million a day of coltan is taken out, and coltan goes into computer chips and cell phones. We need to find out who those companies are, and we need to have them stop doing business until the atrocities end.
The UN would send a few groups of soldiers to guard these villages at night, and they call them night flashes. And what they would do is the soldiers would drive only like 20 or 30 of them, but that's enough to scare away the bandits, because most of these groups that are committing these crimes are just, a couple, dozen of sort of lightly armed, basically hoodlums. And the UN would send these troops into these villages, and they'd park their cars at night, and they'd leave their headlights on. And these UN soldiers told me that when they'd wake up in the morning, there would be thousands of people curled up around them who had come down to the village to pack themselves around these 24 soldiers to try to help protect themselves.
It's scary to know what's going on in the world. It is scary to wake up and face and feel and actually open yourself to the hardship and the suffering. But I promise you, that is where life begins. It isn't where life ends.
I think people should realize that this stuff is happening. It's happening on a huge scale, and a lot of it is preventable. A lot of it can really be addressed. I mean, like this event tonight shows that people in the States who pick up the newspaper and read a story can make a real difference.
They need to be welcomed back, enabled to work again, and able to live with their children again. But you're operating against some very strong cultural forces which are not easy to deal with.
If we can change the situation of violence towards women in the DRC, we can change it everywhere and anywhere. And this will be the beginning of that change.